What's going on, everybody? I'm Kyle Malzahn here on WFRV Plus Sports Night. First show that I've done alone, which is kind of crazy. I don't have Cameron Ezair or Carson Fowler to chop it up with me, but we're going to try our best to talk about this Packers win over the Giants. Look, it wasn't pretty. It was a whole lot of grit with this team. Nothing came easy for them, but at the end of the day, you never apologize for walking out of an NFL stadium with a win. The Packers, they snapped their two-game losing skid with a 27-20 win over the New York Giants. It's now 5 out of 6 wins for the Green Bay Packers where they score exactly 27 points. That's like one of those stats that you never need to know, or just one of those wacky ones that mean probably absolutely nothing. But you score 27 points, more than likely the Packers will come out victorious. Few notes from today. Josh Jacobs, he left yesterday's game out in New York with an injury to his knee. Matt LaFleur, which we will get into Matt LaFleur's whole press conference today because he had a lot of things to say about what was an up and down performance from this team. But Matt LaFleur confirmed that there will be no IR stint for Josh Jacobs. It's more of a day-to-day, week-to-week situation. It's not a long-term injury. He's not going on IR. So if a player were to be placed on injured reserve, they're at least out for the next 4 weeks. That is not the case. It was a contusion to Josh Jacobs' knee. So what it comes down to, there's a possibility that he could be playing on Sunday against the Vikings when they come in marching into Lambeau Field. But it all depends on the swelling that Josh Jacobs is dealing with right now, and if he can get that down and how he feels ahead of that game. So that was good news. Quay Walker, day-to-day, week-to-week situation, took that stinger. So some interesting shakeups for a team that, look, I mean, it's been the same script, right? How many times the last 2 years have we said, if this Packers team could not, if they could just catch a few more passes, like they led the league in drop passes the last few years, and the whole, blame was, we're the youngest team in the NFL. Sure, they're the youngest team in the NFL, but this core group is in year 3 now. The same mistakes can't hinder this team because a few of those passes, if they were just caught, not only would that change those drives, but the outcome of the game. Now, they're lucky to come out with a win, but definitely a lot of things to clean up in that ball game. All right, let's get into Matt LaFleur. We'll hear the first part of his press conference, and then we'll share some thoughts that I had after this first part.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Is IR a consideration for Josh at all?
No,
Is this week a possibility?
potentially we'll see where he's at. It's a contusion, so it's just more or less trying to get the swelling down, and unfortunately, that's a pretty hard surface over there, and sometimes the byproduct of that.
Obviously, you know what Emmanuel Wilson can do. He's played for you quite a bit. So, what does a backfield of Wilson and Brooks look like to you?
Yeah, I thought both those guys came in and did a nice job and just owning their roles. And I don't know if you guys saw the pass protection Brooks provided on that last play or that big play to Savion Williams. That's one thing you can always count on Chris Brooks, man. That guy he's gonna do his job, and he is gonna strain while doing it. And so I got a lot of confidence in him. I know he only had the one carry, but I thought he did a nice job on that carry as well, just hitting the hole with some authority. And then Emmanuel, he did what he needed to do as well. And so both those guys, if called upon, I have confidence that they're going to get the job done.
Matt, what makes Brooks so good in pass protection? How's he gotten so good at that skill?
I think it always starts with a desire first and foremost, but I think, he uses good technique, good fundamentals. He strains, he has good pad level. He can use his hands well. I think he's a heck of a special teams player as well. So I think there is a little bit of carryover to that.
Was the Watson pick on the Wiley touchdown, was that intentional?
No.
Okay.
No.
So what happened? I mean, obviously, we're crazy putting the play. What happened on that?
Well, you are allowed within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage to pick somebody. I think it was just kind of, matter of fact, when I was watching it live, I could see Javon Holland like calling off who was guarding Wiley. So my eyes kind of went backside, thinking that that's where the ball was going to end up going. And so when Jordan threw it to Wiley in the flat, I was like, uh-oh, because I just assumed somebody was out there. I didn't see that he got depleted there. So, but yeah, that was just a byproduct, I think, just of the proximity of where you are in relation to the guy that was covering Wiley. And anytime you get press, I think DB's got to do a good job of trying to get on different levels. Either the guy pressing Christian's a strong player. He can fight through contact. You just gotta try to press him so hard that the guy can play over the top, or you got to get on different levels somehow, some way.
On the play before that, Musgrave was on the field, and I believe that was his last play. Was he dinged, or you just want to go look at some other guys?
No, I think it was kind of how the game played out, and I've already kind of addressed it. He absolutely needs to play more than whatever snaps he played in the second half. So we'll make sure that happens. Yeah, I thought Luke. I know that we had the one drop in the flat, really the two drops or whatever. But I thought and those are going to get magnified. But I thought he did a pretty good job overall.
Now, when you say you've already addressed it, does that mean you addressed it with Luke, or you addressed it with your guys, your staff?
Yeah, with our staff. I just think he's a guy that we have to get on the field.
When you look at the two extra points that Lucas missed, you mentioned the wind when you woke up yesterday. I'm curious, do you think those were wind-related or technique-related? What do you think happened?
I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter whether you got to find a way to get it through the uprights, and it was a challenge. There's no question about it. I think the second one was the whole operation wasn't great in terms of the snap. He kicked the laces, which I don't know if anybody's seen Ace Ventura, but as far as I know, it's not a good thing. But yeah, he just. We got to be better all around him as well.
What do you think is it going to look like for Brandon moving forward? It just feels like this has been quite a roller coaster going all the way back to Matrix.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that you just got to, take in stride and handle it on a day-to-day basis. But I know it's not for a lack of want to or effort. We've got a lot of people trying, and he's trying, and hopefully we can continue to work through this thing.
But that's not an IR situation?
No, not at all.
Rome got shaken up a couple times. Was that aggravating things, or was it that turf crap in his eyes? What happened?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. It sounded like that's what happened. I don't know if he got some of those pebbles in his eye or whatever. On one of the plays, I don't know if did you guys see him post game? No?
No, I didn't.
Looked like he was in a boxing match with somebody. His helmet must have slid down, and so he had his eyes were a little puffy. But it speaks to just how tough Rome is and his ability to bounce back and battle back and come back in the game. And just obviously we all know what type of player he's been for us, and he's been super reliable, super consistent.
So Matt, you said yesterday that you didn't make it easy on yourselves. So as you watch the film on the flight home and then after you get home, what bothered you about the way you played, and what did you really, upon further review, feel really good about?
I would say the missed opportunities is what kind of bothers you. The multiple drops on both sides of the ball. When you look at, I mean, you coulda, woulda, shoulda. I mean, you had 5 opportunities to come away with interceptions, and we had 1. Where they were you guys saw the tape, you guys saw the game. Those were in our hands. So the expectation is we're going to make those plays. Then I think when you look at offensively, just the 2 critical drops were on those third downs on the first drive of the game, and then obviously one when we just got a stop on fourth down, 3rd and 2, and I thought Jordan threw a great ball, and unfortunately we just didn't come down with it. And then we had an opportunity where we had a bad snap in the 2-minute, where it sure looked like Christian Watson was gonna be a big play opportunity. Whether or not we make the play, who knows? But we didn't even give ourselves a chance. So I think when you look at that, yeah, you want to make those plays, and I think the game could just unfold a little bit differently. However, I will say that it's an imperfect game, and you just want to see guys continue to fight and bounce back when it's not going your way. And it's disappointing when you have an opportunity to make a play and you don't make the play, and there's a natural just kind of, I don't want to say letdown, but it can be deflating if you allow it to be. And despite all the adversity, I was really proud of our guys, how they just kept playing. And I think if you do that enough, typically you're gonna come out on the better side of it, which is ultimately what happened.
A, how's Jordan, and B, did you have to adjust anything yesterday with the injury?
No, we didn't. He's doing good. Obviously, he's definitely sore. I mean, that was a pretty big hit. One of those that you just come on, man, can't put yourself in those situations. But I thought I thought he played his ass off yesterday. I really did. I thought he was throwing accurately. He showed a ton of toughness in the pocket. I mean, there were multiple times where he's getting hit pretty good from within the pocket and making throws. So I was really proud of his ability to come back into the game and just show that not only physical toughness, but the mental toughness to hang in there and, continue to keep fighting.
So how does that come on man conversation go with him? Like, he was really proud of getting the angry run in like week 2, right?
Sure.
And then I think back to Rodgers during the Super Bowl season, and he gets a concussion in Detroit, and he's not able to play the following week in New England, and that could have kept him out of the playoffs. How do you get through to him that, hey, I love everything about what you're doing, but you're too valuable for
Yeah,
me?
it's one of those deals where, I mean, things happen pretty quickly out there. I think he, as he was scrambling, he did a little pump fake and actually got the guy to kind of leave his feet a little bit. And so I don't know if he thought he was, a little bit more elusive than what he really is and thought he could get around him or not, but obviously didn't work out. But I do think that's a fine line in regards to how you coach a guy in those situations. There's a lot more feel to it than because things happen so quickly.
I think the only other time you've played all 3 division opponents in a row was your first year, but you guys were 10-3 at that point. Already had a playoff spot locked up pretty much. What's the message going into this stretch here, given how crowded the division is?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously the divisional games are absolutely critical, and you talk about this 3-game stretch, but really all that matters is this one game, and for us right now. I mean, we just got to focus on what's right in front of us, and that's to try to put together the best plan to go out and play a team that I think is an extremely tough football team. And they put it on us twice last year. So our guys will be motivated. They'll be ready to roll, but we got to put in the work and have a great week of practice in order to, because we know this game it's going to come down to a couple of plays. That's how most of the games are in this league, and I've got a lot of respect for those guys over in Minnesota. I think they got a great roster. I think they got a great coaching staff. So it should be a great football game. Hopefully our fans will show up in droves and not sell their tickets to the Vikings fans, because we've seen that happen before too.
Matt LaFleur wanting Packers fans to show up for the game this weekend at Lambeau Field against the Vikings. Well, Matt, hopefully your offense shows up, because the last few home games, it has been non-existent. The Vikings coming to town to start a crucial stretch with this NFC North. I mean, you got the Lions on Thanksgiving, you got the Bears at home, Vikings coming in this weekend. The Vikings, by the way, dead last in the NFC North at 4-6. They just blew one yesterday against the Chicago Bears, and somehow, some way, those Bears that Wisconsin fans always say they suck. Bears still suck. They're 7-3. All right, we'll hear more from Matt LaFleur, on last night's game and ahead of this Sunday football game against the Minnesota Vikings. That and more on the other side. Welcome back into WFRV Plus Sports Night. Kyle Malzahn coming to you live from our WFRV Plus studios here. Packers get a win over the New York Giants. Matt LaFleur, we heard from him in the previous segment. We'll hear a little bit more. Let's hear it from the head coach of the Green Bay Packers a day after the Packers walk out of New York with a win.
That first division game was a million years ago. Obviously, that's just a starting point. You were hoping. Are you a better team now than you were back then, and if so, how?
Yeah, I'm more concerned with just where we are. Who knows? We just got to continue to get better, and we got to do it one day at a time. And by putting the work in, and I told the guys we're going to have a tough week of practice, so get your mind right for that.
Have you seen yourselves getting better every day? Maybe not every day, but do you see the progress that you've been trying to find as far as that every day goes?
Yeah, I think there's been some good and some not so good. So. That's why you got to continue just to battle and fight, and I do like that about our guys. I don't think they run away from hard work. I don't think they, ever just turn down a battle, and so I think our guys will continue to fight to get better, and that's ultimately the goal. And we've got to use these practices this time to, like I said, put the work in and get a little bit better.
Is Golden any worse for wear, and is this just going to be, it felt like he was a little bit in and out of the lineup with the shoulder thing. Is he any worse for wear, and is this going to be an issue going forward for a while here, trying to figure that out?
Yeah, I'll probably have a better idea in a couple, on Wednesday where he's at.
What do you like about the way CD's played?
Yeah, I think he's been competitive, and I thought he did a nice job, and certainly we talked about finishing two of those plays, but the guy competes, and that's all you can ask of anybody is he competes. He's doing his job. I think he's shown consistent growth throughout the course of the season. I think he's playing pretty good football right now.
I know last night Matt asked you about Christian, his improvement here these last couple of years, but what do you thought just how he's kind of hit the ground running, with as much time as he saw?
I think it's been pretty impressive, just what he's been able to accomplish. And it's not surprising to me. The guy comes into work every day with a great attitude and just puts his head down and works.
Are you guys thinking about opening up any 21-day practice windows for IR guys this week?
I sure as heck hope so.
So, like, Marshawn, it's obviously been a while, and Jaden, it's been a while. Is there hope for both of them, or is that?
I think potentially, again, I think we'll have a better idea over the next 2 days.
You had said, speaking of Marshall, you said you had sent him west a couple weeks ago. You mentioned it. Was that kind of like when you sent the guys to Madison a couple years ago?
It was very similar to that, absolutely.
You feel like you got it?
He seems, yes, I would say yes. Talking to the medical people, talking to him, they feel like he's in a pretty good spot right now.
How did you think that the offensive line played yesterday? It seemed like they were, better than what they had shown earlier in the season.
Yeah, I thought it got better as the game went on. Certainly there were some moments, and that's a pretty darn good defensive line. I think that's got to be a top 5 unit, and I know they were missing Thibodeau and Nunez, Roches, and like some guys. So, but I think just overall, I was pretty pleased with our guys. I thought it was more consistent, and ultimately there were still things that we've got to do a much better job on. We cut Dexter Lawrence free on one of the play action passes that we had, and that he should have been double teamed, and we cut him free. So things like that cannot happen. I thought the communication was, for the most part, was pretty solid up front, but it was far from flawless. So we'll keep on continuing to work and try to get even better against another great challenge in terms of when you look at the Vikings defensive line. It's a pretty star-studded group.
I know there's always the emphasis on turnovers, and you talked about the missed opportunities, but does Cooper just have to make sure
Yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, it's one of those deals. It's what is it, 3rd and 11, and he's in the grass. We got to get him on the ground because that obviously that drive hurt us, and we could have got. I think there was like 5 or 6 minutes left in the second quarter at that point, so we got to do a better job there.
Going back to the offensive line, what did you think specifically of how Sean fared and what kind of building block is it?
Yeah, I thought had a pretty. I mean, he had a tough task when that monster is Dexter Lawrence is lining up over top of you every snap. But I thought he played with really good physicality. You know, I mentioned there were a couple snaps that we got to clean up, but I thought all in all, in terms of leading the offensive line and making the communication or making the calls, the communication that's taken from that spot, I thought he did a pretty good job. I was pleased with his performance.
You know, Jordan had that throw in Pittsburgh to Tucker where he said afterward, I was just hoping nothing bad happened. It turned out being that 15-9 yard.
Oh yeah, I'm well aware of that one.
So how do you feel about, because he doesn't seem to be afraid of taking some risks once in a while, and other quarterbacks are pretty risk averse. Where do you kind of fall on the risk spectrum?
Yeah, I mean it's I mean, I know everything is in the results business, and usually when the results good, you're like, oh yeah, great job. And if it went the other way, you'd be like, well, what is he thinking? So, I do think there's the price of doing business at times. I think I said that, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? It just is what it is at some point. But I think ultimately, if you trust the guy you're throwing to and you like the matchup, you might give him more of a opportunity in some of those situations.
So is the touchdown to Christian, I mean, it looks like it, I mean, put it right where he could get it. Is that a risky throw?
No, that's why we were calling the play, to be honest with you. And I thought the safety guard and our tight end did a pretty good job of falling off and trying to get into that play. I mean, we were hunting man coverage. We got man coverage, and you know, Christian made a heck of a catch. But yeah, I wasn't anticipating the safety falling off his man to be right there, because it ultimately looks like you're throwing into double coverage right there.
So what about the Savion throw? That one risky or not?
Yeah, I also think it's 3rd and 10, right? So it's one-on-one down the field. And I can't say enough about Savion Williams being able to come in there in that moment. I was not anticipating him being in the game on that play. And it was just kind of the war of attrition right there in regards to why he was in there. But just especially with his situation, you know, going through and fighting through, being in a walking boot on game day, it's just the guy's battling through, and I think he's shown progress. It's just it'd be nice to get him healthy so we can kind of unleash him a little bit more.
So when you I know the stat line because of the drops and the conditions isn't great, but when you look at Jordan's body of work yesterday with coming back from the injury and all, is it one of his best games, even though it's only 173 passing yards or whatever it is?
Yeah, I mean there was pretty limited opportunity in that game. It was just one of those weird games where, I mean, really until that 4-minute drive, we essentially had 3 possessions in the first half. The fourth one was a 2-minute, and then 3 possessions in the second half. The fourth one being that 4-minute, which we kind of took the air out of the ball. So yeah, I thought he did a pretty good job.
A few more, please.
Just quickly, did Quay make it out all right with the stinger?
I'd say he's going to be day-to-day as well, so we'll see where he's at on Wednesday.
If that's the case, what do you think of the way Hopper? I think Hopper played his most snaps of his career, and then obviously McDuffie had an impactful day too. Those guys have to kind of move up the spot.
Yeah, absolutely, and we got confidence in both those guys. The thing that you love about both of them is they're going to play extremely physical. They're going to do their job, and I think it's always tough to replace a guy like Quay. I think Quay's been playing outstanding football, and he's really become the vocal leader of our defense. So it's like replacing the quarterback. And so, but Isaiah has done a great job coming in. Like I said, Hop, you know, he's done a nice job. So we feel confident if that is the way we have to go, that we've got guys that are able to go in there and do their job, and so our defense doesn't fall off a bit.
I know it's always next man up, but when your quarterback and your running back are both in the locker room getting checked out by the medical staff, what's kind of going through the head coach's mind?
You don't want to know what's going through my mind. It is what it is. And like when that happens, you really don't have a whole lot of time to even try to process it. It's like next play, especially that happened, during an offensive drive. So it's just like, all right, let's go, Malik. And I can't say enough great things about Malik. I don't even think, just looking into his eyes and talking to him, it was like, all right, here we go. It was just like, it was like practice. I don't even know if his heartbeat rose a beat at all. He just was calm, cool, collected, and he went out there and did a hell of a job. I was really impressed by his performance, and in some tough moments. And I mean, that pass to Christian, I asked him this morning, I was like, was that really to Christian or was that to Rome? But he's like, I didn't even see Rome. He saw Christian kind of stopping because he was running the corner route and kind of stopped. And he was like, I was thinking to back shoulder him. And then when he threw it, he saw Rome in the DB whiz right by Christian's face. And I mean, that was great concentration and strength to make that catch by Christian Watson. That was a big time play.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Credit to Malik Willis, man. I mean, that touchdown pass was incredible. And it's incredible how he's been put into these very tough situations and continues to help this Packers team succeed and come out on the other side in a limited role. All right. That does it for a solo edition of WFRV Plus Sports Night. Sorry it wasn't as entertaining as we normally are, but good stuff from Matt LaFleur. Packers win it. They will take on the Vikings this Sunday at Lambeau Field. Hope everybody has a great night. We'll see you tomorrow back here on WFRV Plus Sports Night.